All right, everyone. Good morning and welcome to our Fall 1 new low-res student orientation. We have quite a big group here, which is very exciting. My name is Tracy Jones. I am an academic advisor. Today's orientation will be recorded and we will share the recording with you. We'll share the presentation slides with you. So don't panic if you don't have everything memorized by the end of it. We will be sharing a lot of information with you. Um, Also, if you have any questions, obviously our goal is to answer the majority of your questions through our presentation today. But if you have any questions, you can put those in the chat and my colleagues will do their best to answer those questions for you. So let's go ahead and get started. So I don't know if anybody is familiar with this phrase. This is something Dan and I think a lot about in terms of advising students. You give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, you teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. So our goal, we say, is to teach students how to fish. Well, what does that really mean? It means that particularly as low-res students, you don't have the luxury of walking into our office and asking questions on a daily basis, right? A lot of you are remote. Some of you may not be very close to one of our residency sites or close to campus. So um, it might feel like you're on your own, but our job really is to make sure that you guys have all the information that you need to navigate your programs, that you know where to find the information. So we're teaching you how to fish in that we're making sure you know how to find the information you need to confidently and successfully navigate your programs, particularly as low-res students. As a Catholic university, a CSJ university, we follow specific guidelines here. And these are some of the values that we integrate into our curriculum and really all aspects of university life here. And you'll see these reflected in the residency curriculum as well. If you want more information about these specific values, you can just click on the link here and that will take you to our website. All right, our agenda for today. We're going to be talking about communicating with us, some of your student accounts that you'll be using and how you'll use them, uh, important program information, policies, residency compliance, which is especially important for those of you who are low res, a little bit about working while you're here, and of course, as I said, if you have any questions, please just put those in the chat, but of course, we aim to answer most of those through our orientation. All right, so a few people that you might want to know associated with our program. If you're in the MSTM program, any of those concentrations, Sean Smith is our director of those programs. Dr. Wendy Aker is the director of our MBA program. So if you're an MBA or MBA STEM, she is our director. And I believe we have our brand new dean, Erin Holt, with us. Erin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Dr. Erin Holt. I am the dean for the college. I just want to welcome you all. I'm really glad that you've chosen Avila to be a part of our community. I know you guys are starting out on this new program and it's pretty exciting, and I just wish you all luck and let us know if you need anything. Welcome to Avila.
Thank you, Erin. A few other faces. Well, you have Dan and me. We are a team of two. We are two main graduate advisors. Dan and I currently have, as of yesterday, a little over 1,700 students. That's 1,700 students. So that's a lot of emails. So, of course, we do our best to manage that, and a lot of the guidelines we're going to share with you today are aimed at helping us manage those, but we're really your main point of contact. So, those of you who have been enrolled, you would have received a welcome message from Dan or me. And if you have any questions, just reach out to us. We're happy to answer those questions or direct you to someone who can. All right, we have Dr. Andrew Vogel. He is our PDSO. I think Dr. Vogel is here this morning.
Hi, everybody.
Doc-
I'm Dr.
Hi.
Vogel. Such a pleasure to be here with you. And look, we're so proud that you've chosen Avila University, particularly in these kind of tumultuous times in international education. We are here to support you. We're a small private school who have dedicated staff to help you every step along the way. If it's Tracy and Daniel, your advisors, our DSO team, of course, our CPT, OPT coordinator, or myself directly. We are an institution that takes very seriously international education, and we look forward to helping you every step along the way. So please feel free to reach out to us when you need help. And we're so, once again, so proud that you chose Avila University. Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you, Dr. Vogel. Okay, we have Dr. Alan Martin.
Yes, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Avila University. I work very closely with Dr. Vogel, and I work as part of our team that supports international students through their journey here at Avila, mostly supporting through international student services, coordinating events and programming, working as a liaison with different student groups. But if you have any concerns about something that's international student related, perhaps it's about your questions about your status, remaining compliant and such, you'll receive information from our office, but you can consider me your first stop for any concerns you have. And if I cannot personally help you, I can point you in the right direction. But again, welcome. And I hope you have a great start here and finishing your program at Avila.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. Okay, we have Monica Lomax, who, as you can see by this slide, does a lot of things. All of you will hear from Monica at some point in your journey here at Avila. The main two things, she coordinates CPT, she coordinates OPT, she makes sure everybody is compliant, answers a lot of questions related to travel authorization, leave of absence, those kinds of things. So you'll get to know Monica very well. We have Oraz. Oraz is our international undergraduate advisor. So if you're in an undergraduate program, he will likely be your advisor. Good morning, Oraz. Okay, Oraz is busy, but if you're undergrad, you'll get to know him. So let's move on to communication. So this is really important. As I said, most of you are, all of you are low-res students. So your main method of communication is mostly by email with us, or at least remotely. So just a couple of things to note. Your login credentials. We've seen a lot of emails from students asking for their login credentials, okay? Your login credentials are not generated until you are enrolled in classes. So if you have not received a welcome message from Dan or myself or your advisor, your account credentials have not been generated. So as soon as you get that welcome message, it will include information about your login credentials and where they're going to be coming from. Typically, those are sent to you by email within about 24 hours or less. If you don't receive them, or you have any questions or issues logging in to your accounts, you're going to reach out to IT. Now, there is no direct email for IT. You cannot email IT. What you have to do is submit a ticket. So I'll show you what that looks like. You click on this link here. It's going to take you to our IT services page, and there's a lot of helpful information there. But what you want is this little button here, submit a help desk ticket. So once you are enrolled, if you have any issues logging into your account, you can send them a ticket. So you're just going to fill out this information here, all of the relevant information. Just in the description here in this box, just explain what your issue is. Make sure you always use your Avila email when you are submitting these tickets. Typically, IT will get back to you within 24 to 48 working hours. Those are standard response times really for anybody here at the university, 24 to 48 hours working hours. That's Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. So if you send this at midnight on Friday, most likely you're not going to hear back until Monday or the following week. All right, so again, your account credentials will not be generated or sent to you until you are enrolled in classes. Okay. All right, so the business office, really important that you pay your bills. And The business office has access to your billing account, your itemized list of charges. They process payments. They help you set up payment plans. So if you have any questions about deadlines, payment plan deadlines, fees, payments, all of that stuff, you want to reach out to the business office. Dan and I, as your advisors, we don't have access to that information. So sometimes we have to send scary emails to students who haven't paid their bills, but we don't typically have access to your billing account. So if you haven't received information about deadlines, please reach out to the business office. The DSO team, which we just met several members of, the easiest way to reach them is by using the international email here that goes to all of the DSO team members. Any questions you have about your status, I-20s. Dan and I are not DSOs, so we can't usually answer those questions for you. So reach out to them using that email. Dan and I can answer basic questions related to your CPT credits and enrollment. That we handled that side of things, but anything more in depth related to CPT or your OPT, if you have any questions related to OPT, you want to use this international employment email. Andrew, do you have a question
Yeah, no, just a quick comment
or
that Daniel is
statement?
actually,
Yes.
Daniel is
Oh,
actually a
sure.
DSO. And so he is able to advise on some issues.
Right. We usually defer those to the DSO team. We don't want to give Daniel
Right.
any more work than he already has.
Yep.
Thank you. Yes. So if you have any questions about your classes, enrollment, that's your advisor. So just reach out to Dan or me, whoever your advisor is. We'll talk a little bit today about residency. That is the 2-day in-person class that you guys will be attending every 8 weeks. If you have any questions about your registration for residency, sometimes students don't get a confirmation email or they want to change their location, you're going to use this email. This goes to Joe Asensio. He is the low residency program coordinator. So you use this email to ask any questions about residency. Okay, so later in our presentation at the end, we will be sharing some information about insurance, but I wanted to share some contact information with you. As you guys know, as F1 students, you're all required to have health insurance. You're all required to enroll in a health insurance policy while you're enrolled in classes. And again, we'll share some information about how to sign up there. But this is the contact information for Luremark. This is a company that Avila partners with for student insurance. Their website, there's chat available. If you see this icon right here at the bottom, we are told that there is a real person on the other side of that chat, not AI. So you'll be talking with a real human. There we have the phone number, email if you have any questions. For students who may have insurance from another insurance provider, there is a very short list of criteria that will allow you to have that insurance. But if you do have insurance from another company, you want to make sure that it is authorized. Just send that information to the waivers email. So you need approval, you need a waiver from Luremark to have outside insurance. This QR code will take you to the IT help desk ticket that I just showed you. So you can always bookmark that in your browser. That's a good idea. This forms page is super important. So everybody should, as soon as possible, right now, in fact, bookmark this page in your browser. Every day, Dan and I get questions asking for these forms. So if you want to change your address information, which is important for those of you who might have just moved or have a new phone number, new personal email. If you're getting a driver's license, you need a verification letter. If you are traveling during winter break or next summer, you need travel endorsement. If you are doing CPT, you need to submit the CPT form. All those forms are right here on this page. So please bookmark this page. What's great about these forms also is that when you open the form, it gives you more information about that specific service. So if you want to learn more about travel endorsement, just open the travel endorsement form, and that will give you more detailed information. All right, so again, really important that we have your updated contact information. So if you have a new address, phone number, or personal email, you can use this form to fill it out. You can see your address information when you log into My AU. If that information is not correct, please make sure you fill out this form. When you fill out this form, it goes directly to the registrar's office. They will update your information in My AU. It will also go to the DSO team. They will update your information on their end. So really important that we have your updated info. This QR code will take you to a link tree, and this really is for all Avila students. It's just a link of resources that are available to every student. There is an international student section, so a quick resource for you guys to find links to information. All right, so these email examples are real examples from real students, my students. As low-res students, as I said, most of your communication is going to be via email. And this is very obvious to some students, maybe less obvious to others. But when you send an email to anyone at the university, your advisor, your instructor, business office, the dean, a DSO, email is a professional form of communication, right? It's not a WhatsApp message to your friend. So when you're communicating with us, you want to make sure you take the time to punctuate, capitalize, check your grammar, make sure the information in your email is accurate as well. You're really, by doing that, you're helping us to help you, right? You're helping us to respond to your question or concern as best we can. So just keep in mind, we want to avoid some of these mistakes that your previous classmates have made. You're all also graduate students, so that should be reflected in the quality of your communication. All right, so some guidelines. As soon as you are enrolled, as I said, your account credentials are generated and you will have an Avila email. So from that point on, you must always use your Avila student email. You cannot use your personal email for communication with us at the university. When you send an email, we advise you to send one email to one person. That person will get back to you. Some students sometimes they're a little impatient. They want to copy many, many people, almost really everyone at the university. Really, what that does is fill our inboxes with unnecessary messages. Everybody here at Avila gets a lot of emails, and we're all working very hard to make sure we get back to you in a timely manner. But with all those extra emails, it just slows us down. So please don't copy unnecessary people. If we need to add somebody, we'll do that when we respond to you. But one message to one recipient is adequate. We will get back to you. Please be patient. Again, don't send multiple messages. One message suffices. Again, that just adds more emails to our inboxes. We saw some examples of email format, so please just keep that in mind. Again, take a look at your email before you hit send. Make sure it makes sense. Make sure it includes the information that your advisor or DSO needs to answer your question. A reminder again, work hours are typically 8 to 5, Monday to Friday. So if you send any communication outside of those hours, most likely we won't get back to you until the next day. So Teams, those of you who have synchronous class sessions, and those are weekly online class sessions for your online classes, you'll be using Teams to communicate. Obviously, we're using Teams right now to communicate, but we don't use Teams to communicate individually with students. So if you send us a Teams message, we're just going to remind you to send us an email. So Teams is really only for our internal communication, but not with students. So email, you can come to our office, that's great, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. All right, so in addition to following those email guidelines when you send emails, it is extremely important that you read your emails. You're going to get a lot of emails from a lot of different people, and those emails are important because, again, we're teaching you how to fish. That is our job. We want you to have all the information you need to navigate your programs, and that usually comes in the form of emails. So please read your emails. Dan and I, when we send mass emails, we use Navigate to do that, and we get a little report. It shows us how many students we sent the messages to and how many students actually open that message. And very consistently, about 40% of students never even read the email. And that just means we have a lot of confused students out there who don't have the information they need. So please make sure you check your email on a regular basis, even if it's a break. Very interesting. I had quite a few students tell me that they were not checking their email during the summer because they were on break, which doesn't make any sense because information is still important even when you're on a break. So please check your email on a regular basis. And if you have any questions about the email that we're sending you, just respond and ask a question. We do have a Teams channel specifically for students, and in this channel we share information with you, similar information that we also email to you. So if you want to keep up to date on the latest information, you can join our Teams channel. You have to download Teams first, and then you'll be able to join our channel. This QR code is also attached to your welcome message. So please join if you'd like to stay up to date. All right, let's talk about student accounts and what you guys are going to be using as students. So if you're not already familiar, you will very quickly become familiar with this landing login page here. And you guys as students are going to be using really 3 out of these 4. You're going to be using My AU, Campus Email, and Canvas. On the student side, our graduate students don't typically use Navigate. This is more for undergraduate students. Dan and I use this to send our mass messages and communications to students. But you guys are going to be using these 3 here. So as soon as you have your login credentials, you want to go in here, have a look, see what's in there. Most likely you're going to have some emails in there. Your schedule is going to be here. Your class information is going to be in Canvas. So we're going to talk about those right now. All right, so again, login credentials are created as soon as you're enrolled. Those should arrive within 24 hours. Information about that is in your welcome message. Those credentials are going to come from an email, which is welcome@avila.edu. Sometimes that message ends up in the student's spam folder. So check your junk or your spam folder before you submit an IT ticket. It may be in that folder. If it's not in that folder, submit a ticket so you can get your credentials. Once you're able to log in, you have access to all of this. So in My AU, you're going to see your schedule, you'll see your grades, you'll see your degree audit, which is all the classes in your program. You're going to see your billing information. You'll be able to pay through My AU, and we have some videos here to show you how that all works. Campus email, of course, you're going to use that for communicating with us and for us to communicate with you. Also, this gives you access to Microsoft apps as well that you can use for all of your assignments. In Canvas, everybody should be enrolled in an orientation course. This is a general orientation course for all students. So please take the time to go through those modules and make sure you have a clear idea of how everything works with your online classes. In Canvas, you're going to see a course page for your classes, all of your class information, assignments, due dates, announcements, information, contact information for your instructor. All of that are going to be included in your Canvas course page. All right, so really important, you'll get a lot of emails from Dan and me asking you to check your enrollment. And so classes start on Monday. Really important that each semester that we enroll you, you go into My AU and you look at your enrollment, make sure it is what you are expecting. If for some reason you're not enrolled in classes, of course you need to let your advisor know. So this is a team effort. Dan and I, it's our job to enroll students. Students in this program do not enroll themselves. That's our job. And we do a lot of communicating about that. And we'll talk more about that in this orientation, but it's really important that you go and check your schedule, make sure everything looks good to you. And if you have any questions or we need to make any changes, we have to do that before the end of week 1. After week 1, we cannot make any changes to enrollment for that session. All right, these are the fall dates. These dates are also in your schedule. We're going to see a video in just a minute. You can find these session dates when you look at your schedule, but these are the dates for fall 1, fall 2. And when you go into My AU, again, we're going to see a video in just a second. There's a drop-down menu to choose the right term. Now, when you click on that drop-down menu, you're going to get a long list of options. So this is why we typically email you to let you know which term you need to choose. So at this point, it should default already to fall, but if it's not, just select 26-27 academic year fall, and then you'll be able to see your enrollment. All right, so this video shows you exactly how to find your enrollment in MyAU. This link to this video was, and a link to several of the videos that you'll see here in the orientation were in your welcome message as well. So make sure you take the time to read through that.
Visit the AU login page from avila.edu. Click on My AU. Enter your credentials. Click on Academic from the menu across the top of the page. Scroll down the page to find my course schedule. First, notice which term's enrollment you are viewing on this page. You may have to select a different term from the drop-down menu depending on which semester's enrollment you want to see.
And this is true, for example, Dan and I are working on spring enrollment right now. So probably the next few weeks, all of you will also be enrolled in spring classes. Once we finish that, we'll send you an email asking you to go to MyAU and check your spring enrollment. So for that, you'll have to change the term in your drop-down menu. And we'll include that information in that email.
Below, you will see which courses you are enrolled in for the semester. The first column provides textbook information if one is required for the course. Just click in the plus icon to see the information.
So we'll talk a little bit about textbooks later, but all of your textbooks, if your class requires a textbook, will be included on your Canvas course page. You're all paying a textbook fee that is included in your fees, and that gives you access to your textbook through Canvas. So don't run out and buy a textbook. We'll talk more about that later.
Next, you will see the course code and name of the course. You can see how many credits the course is worth. If you are currently enrolled in the course, the status column will say current. If you have dropped or withdrawn from the course, that will be displayed in this column. In the next column, you will find course instructor's name. Now, for on-campus or high-residency classes, you will see the day that the class meets noted by a single letter, MTWR or F. Note the R stands for Thursday. Below the day, you will see class meeting times. For low-residency classes, no specific day or time will be listed. Low-residency instructors will individually determine the synchronous meeting day and time. This information can be found on your Canvas course page and in the course syllabus. The next column shows you the session dates, which lists the first and last day the class meets. You can use this information to determine in which session the class will take place, Session 1 or Session 2. The last column shows you where the classes meet. All classes will be listed as MC or main campus. If your class in on campus or high residency, you will see the building name and room number where the class meets. For example, you will see WHI for Whitfield in room 509. If your class is low residency, it will be listed as HYB. Remember to always check your enrollment in MyAU first before checking Canvas, as not all of the classes you are currently enrolled in may be available on your Canvas dashboard.
Okay, so all of you are enrolled in low-res classes, which means your classes are online. Now, some of your classes may have a synchronous class meeting. What that means is for some classes, you will have a weekly online class that is scheduled by your instructor where you're going to meet with your instructor and all of your classmates. Now, if your class has a synchronous class meeting, your instructor will choose the day and time that that class meets. It most likely will not be listed here on your schedule. Your instructor will share that information with you on your Canvas course page. Not every class has those synchronous weekly class meetings. Just note that if your class does require a class meeting, those are required. Those are part of your grade. You have to attend those classes. If your class does not require them, then you don't have to attend those. If you want to confirm, if you want to be sure, and it's always a good idea to double check, just reach out to your instructor and ask them. You can reach them on Canvas. Your Canvas course page will have a people section. You just go to people and you'll find your instructor there, and you can send him or her an email directly through Canvas. So make sure you determine whether or not your class has a synchronous class session before the start of the term. You don't want to miss that if you do have one. If you're new to Canvas, once you log in, you're going to go to your account right here, global announcements, and there is a resource section. So lots of resources in addition to Canvas, but this will show you, there are tutorials, will show you how to use Canvas if you've never used it before. All right, some notes on Canvas. As the video said, it is really important that you always check your enrollment in MyAU first. We have students who go to Canvas, they don't see anything, and they think they're not enrolled in classes. Well, that's why that is very misleading. When you go to Canvas, you're, first of all, only going to see your Fall 1 classes. Okay, your Fall 2 classes in Canvas will not be published until the start of Fall 2. So again, that's why it's a little confusing and misleading. Also, in order for you to see the Canvas course page, your instructor has to publish the class. You can't see it until your instructor publishes it. Now, ideally, from Monday next week, all of your Fall 1 classes should be published. You should be able to see those, all right? If class starts on Monday and you still don't see your Fall 1 class on Canvas, please reach out to your advisor. Let us know. These things happen sometimes. Anything you see on your Canvas course page is your instructor's responsibility. So if something doesn't look right, the due dates don't look exactly right, or you can't access something, just reach out to your instructor and ask them. They are the ones who are responsible for those pages. Okay, so as you guys move through your programs, it is very important that you are keeping track of your credits. All right, we get a lot of questions, Dan and I do as advisors, from students asking, how many credits have I taken? How many credits do I have left to take? When am I going to graduate? Those are all questions that you should be able to answer. Again, we're teaching you how to fish. Dan and I are keeping track of those things too, but it is the student's responsibility. It is your responsibility to make sure you are keeping track of all of your credits. And there are a couple of reasons. Number one, all of you have an I-20. You have an I-20 end date. You have to finish your program by your I-20 end date. If you are not paying attention to how many credits you have left to take, who knows? You might miss that end date. And it'll be very unlikely that students in the future will be able to extend those dates. The second reason is our graduation cycle. So we have one graduation deadline, graduation application deadline every year, and that is in November. So obviously this will not be applicable to you guys this year, but perhaps next year, the following year, you'll need to know in which semester you're going to graduate. It's going to be fall, spring, or summer, because you're going to have to apply for graduation by that deadline. So if you reach out to your advisor at any point and you ask those questions, how many credits have I taken? How many do I have left to take? When am I graduating? We're going to send you right here to your degree audit so that you can find that information yourself.
Visit the AU login page from avila.edu. Click on My AU. Enter your credentials. Click on Academic from the menu across the top of the page. Click on Student Advising Info from the menu on the left-hand side of the page. Within the Degree Audit section, click on View All Details. In the Degree Audit Summary, you will see all of the courses in your program generally divided into two main groups: core courses and management courses.
Okay, just a note here, this example in the video, this example degree audit is for an MSTM computer science student. So if you're in a different program, your classes might be organized slightly differently, but all the information will be right here in your degree audit. Also, you can click on this PDF here. You'll find that if you go in here, there's a lot of clicking to find the information. It's not always the most user-friendly, but if you click on here, this PDF here, it will show you your list of classes in one document, in one PDF document. So some students find that a little bit easier to follow.
You will also be able to see and keep track of your GPA on this page.
So students must maintain a 3.0 GPA to remain not only in good standing, but to also complete their programs. So if you if you drop below 3.0, you'll be placed on academic probation. If you end your program lower than a 3.0, you may have to repeat some classes. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but make sure you're always keeping an eye on your GPA.
Also note that on this page, you can click on the Degree Audit PDF under the Summary to access your unofficial transcripts. By clicking on your core courses, you will be able to see a list of the required courses related to your concentration. Note that it is your responsibility to keep track of how many credits you have completed and how many credits you have remaining in order to plan out your program and finish before your I-20 end date. When you have successfully completed a course, you will see a green check followed by MET in the status column. Courses that have been waived or transferred will also be marked as MET.
So if you have the expectation or the understanding based on a conversation with somebody along the way in your application process, if you believe that a class should be waived or that you've had classes transferred, you want to make sure that that is reflected in your degree audit. If it is not, then just reach out to your advisor and we will investigate.
Courses that you are currently enrolled in will be noted as in progress.
All right, so when you see in progress, that means you're enrolled in the class. Now, as I said, Dan and I are working on spring enrollment right now. So obviously you're currently enrolled in fall classes. Once we enroll you in those spring classes, those are going to be marked as in progress in your degree audit. So in progress just means you're enrolled in the class. It might mean the current semester, but it could also mean the following semester. So you may have to look at your class schedule in my AU to determine which semester you're enrolled in.
Remaining courses will be noted as required. The minimum grade required to pass a class is C. If you earn a D or F, the grade will not be reflected in your audit. Only successfully completed classes will be noted as earned. It's important that students check their final grades once each 8-week session has been completed. Students will see a percentage on their Canvas course pages. At the end of each 8-week session, your instructors will enter an equivalent letter grade into the system, which is reflected in your audit. If you see that the grade in your audit does not match your percentage in Canvas, reach out to your instructor. By clicking on your Management Courses, you will be able to see a list of the required courses related to the management area of your concentration. By clicking Choose Required, you will see options for the additional 3 credits required for your program. These include either an internship or a capstone project. You can ask your academic advisor for more information regarding these courses.
All right, so as I said, programs differ, so you might have different requirements that differ from this example here. But I do want to mention one thing, as the video says, as you're going through the session, your 8-week session with each class that you're enrolled in, you're going to see a percentage on Canvas. It's really important that you pay attention to that percentage. That is your score in the class. So anything below a 70% is going to be failing. So at the end of the session, your instructor is going to enter a letter grade, A, B, C, for example, in my AU. It's that letter grade that really counts. So you want to make sure after your class finishes, you go here to your degree audit, or next we're going to look at your unofficial transcripts. You want to make sure you look and you check to make sure that grade matches the percentage that you ended up with in Canvas. Instructors make mistakes. Sometimes they enter the wrong grade. We want to fix that as soon as possible. So if you see that there's a problem, reach out to your instructor as quickly as possible. So attached to your welcome message, all of you have this document for your particular program. This is a Word document, so this is another way that you guys can very easily keep track of your credits. You can just edit this document and figure out how many credits you have taken, how many you have left to take. You can map out the remainder of your program. One thing I will also mention is that as you're mapping out your program, Dan and I provided you in your welcome message a tentative long-range plan. So that is an example schedule. Of course, that schedule really depends on how many credits you choose to take every semester. That schedule is usually based on students taking the minimum of 6 credits each semester. You may take a summer break. Other things might happen. So you can use that tentative schedule to map out whatever your specific plans are as well. So again, that is tentative. It's not definitive. It really just depends on your own personal goals as well. All right, so we also have in my AU unofficial transcripts. Now, there are 2 pieces of information that will not be included on your degree audit that we just looked at. Your degree audit is a list of all of your program classes. It's a list of all the classes then that you will successfully complete. One of the 2 things that you'll only see here on your unofficial transcripts are any failing grades. So if you get a grade below a C, a D, or an F, that will not be reflected in your degree audit because you did not successfully complete that class. It will only be shown here on your unofficial transcripts. The other thing that you won't see in your degree audit is residency. So as low-res students, you guys are not attending in-person classes here on campus. So you have a 2-day in-person class that you need to attend every 8 weeks. You'll be enrolled in that class. You have to be registered. You'll be enrolled in that class, and then you'll receive a grade. That grade is going to be pass or fail. You're going to get credit or no credit. So if you do everything you're supposed to do, you get credit CR. If you don't, you get an NC. Okay, and so that residency class is not listed in your degree audit because it's not a program requirement. It is a requirement of your F1 visa. It's a compliance requirement. So that is only going to be available here on your transcript. So as soon as you finish residency every 8 weeks, you want to make sure that you go in and check your grade. What you want is a CR, not an NC. So let's take a look at this video.
Visit the AU login page from avila.edu. Click on My AU. Enter your credentials. Click on Academic from the menu across the top of the page. Click on Student Academic Info from the menu on the left-hand side of the page. On this page, you will find your unofficial transcripts. It's important to check these transcripts, in addition to your degree audit, at the end of every session. First, you want to make sure the letter grade entered into the system matches the final percentage on your Canvas course page. If these do not match, reach out to your instructor as soon as possible. Second, any grade below a C will not appear on your degree audit. It will only appear on your unofficial transcripts. Finally, international students should confirm their residency credit at the end of each session in which they are enrolled in classes and required to attend residency. International students who registered for residency, met residency attendance requirements, and completed all required residency coursework will receive credit, which is noted by CR on their transcript. International students who did not register for residency, did not meet residency attendance requirements, and or did not complete all required residency coursework will not receive credit, which is noted by NC on their transcript. Note that international students who earn 1 or more NC for residency are at risk of SEVIS termination and program dismissal. Additionally, NC grades will draw attention and be scrutinized by USCIS when students apply for OPT visa renewal and/or change of status in the future.
Right. Dan, would you share the Fall 1 residency link with students in the chat here? Thank you so much. So thank you. We'll be talking about residency a little further along. Dan's going to share, everybody should already have received it, but Dan's going to share with you the registration link for Fall 1 residency. You want to make sure, number one, you have to register for residency. So we'll come back to residency in a moment, but that is why two things you want to make sure you're looking for on your unofficial transcripts. All right, payment. Really important. I can't stress enough how important it is to pay your bills. You have to pay for the credits you're earning. They are not free. What happens if you don't pay your bill? Well, typically, first, you will lose access to Canvas, so you will not be able to participate in your classes. After that, if you still have unpaid fees, your classes will be dropped. Typically, if it is a semester in which you are required to be enrolled, that leads to termination. So important that you pay your bills. Payment deadlines, enrollment in payment plans. Payment plans are not available every semester, so just keep that in mind. If they are available, the business office will communicate with everybody, every student about those deadlines. If you have any questions, you need to reach out to them. If you have any issues paying your fees on time by the deadlines that they've given you, you have to communicate with the business office, okay? They can sometimes be flexible as long as you are communicating with them, but it really depends. Obviously, if you're not communicating with them, they can't make arrangements with you. If the deadlines pass and you're still not paid, that means you're going to start getting some scary emails from the business office, from your advisor. So we want to make sure everybody is successful and there's no interruption in your ability to participate in your classes. All of your account information and payment information is here on My AU. Whoops, let's go back. Let's try that again.
Visit the AU login page from avila.edu. Click on My AU. Enter your credentials. Click on Finances from the menu across the top of the page. Click on Student Account from the menu on the left-hand side of the page. From here, click on My Account Balances to view your current balance. Click on View Account Details and History to see an itemized list of charges to your account. If you are unsure what any of the itemized charges are for, you can contact David Clarkson in the business office for more information. Clicking on View Bill Payment Options will take you to the payment portal, where you can make a payment directly or set up other payment options. It's important for international students to remember that keeping your account balance paid is a requirement of your F1 status. Having a past due unpaid balance puts you out of status and at risk of SEVIS termination. Having an unpaid balance also puts a hold on your account, which prevents you from being enrolled in classes. If you experience issues paying your account balance, it is important that you communicate proactively with David Clarkson in the business office.
All right, so just a reminder that the information we see in this section here is available only to you and the business office. Dan and I do not have access to this, so we cannot answer questions about this information. You have to reach out to the business office. Now, if you have unpaid, past due fees, that puts a hold on your account, so that means you cannot be enrolled in classes, leads to a lot of issues. So again, please be communicative with the business office if you have any issues paying your fees on time. All right, everybody has library access through the library portal on our website. You'll be doing research for your classes. You have access to JSTOR. You have access to all of the academic resources you need. You have access to our writing center. You guys can make appointments with writing tutors. You have writing resources, citation, referencing. All of those things are available to you guys through our library page. All right, program information. You've heard me mention high res, low res. Those terms refer to different types of students. High res students are typically enrolled in on-campus, in-person classes. They have a weekly residency requirement that they are attending, a class that they're enrolled to. Every international student is enrolled in some type of residency class. High res students have a weekly requirement that they attend. For you guys, your low residency students, you have a 2-day requirement at the end of every 8 weeks. And so that is really the distinction between high res and low res. As I mentioned, attached to your welcome letter and in that email, Dan and I have provided you with a degree plan, a tentative audit. You guys have access to a degree audit as soon as you have your login information. So you can use all of those to keep track of your degree, your program progress. Each of our 3 semesters, fall, spring, and summer, those are all divided into 2 parts, and those are 8-week sessions. So you've heard me mention fall 1, fall 2, spring 1, spring 2. You'll have all of your classes will typically be 8 weeks. There's really only one exception, which we'll talk about later. As I said, for low-res students, some classes have an online class meeting. Those will happen on Teams. Your instructor will share that information. Please confirm with your instructor if you have any questions. Obviously, high-res students who are enrolled in on-campus classes, those are in person. You guys are required to attend residency every 8 weeks. And so Dan just shared with you the link for fall 1. So when you guys attend the fall 1 residency, you're going to get the registration link for fall 2. So you'll be able to register from fall 1 residency. Dan and I will also be sending that out. Most of you should have this link also in your welcome message, but you have it now. So it's really important that you register. You're going to pick a location. There's some confusion for students about the location. The location you choose every 8 weeks. That is not a predetermined location. So some students have the misconception that they choose a location when they apply for their program, which is not the case. So you guys will register every 8 weeks. If you want to go to the same location, Orlando, Miami, LA, whatever, if you want to go to the same location every time, you just choose that location every time. If you want to go to a different location, you just choose a different location, okay? But it is not a set location for students. You choose that every 8 weeks. Particularly in session 2, toward the end of the semester, students often want to take a break. We have a short break during the winter. Just note that residency attendance, that is not the end of the session, right? The end of the session is the last day of the session, the last day of classes. Some students have the idea that as soon as they go to residency, they're done, but you're not done. Classes go until the last day of the session. Okay, so in fall and spring, all of you are required to enroll in at least 6 credits every semester. That's the default. You guys, in fall, your first semester, you guys can actually take up to 9 credits. So if you want to add another class to your enrollment in fall, just reach out to Dan or me. From spring, as long as you successfully complete all of your classes with a 3.0, then you guys can take up to 12 credits. That's 4 classes. Enrollment in summer classes is optional. So in December, not that long from now, in December, we're going to be starting summer enrollment, and we'll share some information with you there. In order for you to take less than 6 credits in fall or spring, you need to either have a leave of absence and approved, you need DSO authorization. And there are a couple of different reasons that you can do that. As I said, Dan and I enroll students every semester. If it's your final semester and you only have 1 class left, then that's fine. You can be enrolled in less than 6 credits. So you're always keeping an eye on your GPA, making sure that that is 3.0. When Dan and I reach out and send you an enrollment form, which we're going to see in just a moment, you want to make sure you have your program schedule in mind. You have an end date in mind that is hopefully before your I-20 end date. So Dan and I enroll students. As I said, we're working on spring enrollment right now. We're almost finished. So as soon as we get everybody enrolled for fall, new students, then we'll be able to complete spring enrollment. We'll let you know. What we do is send a form. Let's go back. So we send you a form, an enrollment form, and that form is going to ask you how many classes you want to take for that semester. So it's really important that you fill out that form and let us know how many classes you want to take. So particularly if it's your final semester, you want to take more than 6 credits, we need that information. So based on your response, then we enroll you in classes. That's pretty much the only choice that students have. Students cannot choose their specific classes. Once you tell us how many credits you want to take, we enroll you in classes that you have left to take. Part of our responsibility is making sure class enrollments are balanced. And so the tentative schedule you see in your welcome message, that might change based on what classes are available. Also will change based on any breaks you take or how many credits you choose to take every semester. But when you are telling us each semester how many credits you want to take, you're keeping in mind your program end date when you plan to finish. All right, as I said, you need 3.0, so make sure you keep an eye on that. If you drop below, you're automatically on academic probation. If you fail a class, if you get a D or an F, then you are automatically on academic probation until you successfully repeat that class, which you have to do within 2 semesters. So Dan and I typically will re-enroll you in that class as soon as we can. You have to pay for that class again. We will notify you of your academic probation status. Students can also only repeat 2 classes. So if you fail 2 classes, then you need to repeat a third one. Typically that leads to academic probation and dismissal. So if you are dismissed from the program, you have the opportunity to appeal that decision. So what I would say to any student who's in that position, if you are appealing your dismissal, just make sure that your appeal is as detailed as possible. If you have any kind of documentation, medical documentation, any other type of documentation, make sure that's included. The more detailed it is, the better. It helps us to understand what your situation was that led to you not being successful. So those appeals are reviewed and either accepted or denied. For C's, you're only allowed 2 C's in the program. So a C is technically passing, but if you get a third C, you have to repeat one of the classes in which you received a C. And so your advisor will reach out to you about that. So we want A's and B's, right? We want everybody to be successful in their program. All right, so graduation. I know it's day 1, but we want to put graduation on your radar because I'm going to go back to keeping track of your credits. Keeping track of your credits, number 1, is important because you have an I-20 end date that you have to meet. And number 2, we only have 1 graduation deadline every year. So again, this might not apply to you until next year, but the application deadline is in November. November for students who are finishing their programs in fall, the following spring and summer. So if you imagine a student is finishing their program in August, they have to apply for graduation by November. That's quite a big time gap, right? And maybe not always on a student's radar, but that's why it's super important to know when you're going to be finishing your program, right? And that's why you need to keep track of your credits. And we'll talk more about graduation later. There's one commencement ceremony, which is in May every year, and you can only attend the ceremony within the academic year that you complete your program. You cannot defer to a future one. So we'll update you with this information, but just something to keep on your radar. All right, so as soon as you get your login credentials, you need to log into your accounts, but start with Canvas. Look at Canvas, look at your Canvas course page, start looking at what is available there, start looking at some of the assignments. Your instructors will thank you for reading the syllabus, I promise. As I said, your textbooks are available through Canvas. So you pay a textbook fee that gives you access to your textbook on Canvas. Now, sometimes instructors get a little confused and they ask students to buy a textbook or pay for access to the textbook. If that happens, please reach out to your advisor. You should not have to pay for anything in addition to the textbook fee that you're already being charged. So if your instructor gets confused and is asking you to buy something or pay for something, please let us know. We're going to make sure the instructor knows what's going on. Now, if you want to go out and buy your own textbook, go for it, but you are not required to do that. And keep in mind that not every class has a textbook. Now, some of you may not be enrolled yet, and some of you might be a little panicked that you may not be enrolled before the start of classes on Monday. Just keep in mind that we do not complete usually our enrollment by the start of classes. So we typically enroll during the first week or two of the class of the semester. So if you're not enrolled in classes on Monday, don't panic. Number one, we're going to contact you as soon as you're enrolled. Number two, the day that you're enrolled in the class, Dan and I are going to let the instructor know that you've been enrolled in the class. Now, it's your responsibility after that to reach out to your instructor. And so if you are enrolled after the start of classes, we'll let your instructor know, but you have to reach out to your instructor and make sure you communicate with them about making up your assignments. They're typically pretty flexible as long as you communicate with them, but that's your responsibility. So don't panic if you're not enrolled by Monday, okay? Enrollment is ongoing. Okay, so academic integrity. I was a teacher for 20 something years, and that time I spent the majority of that time teaching international students, teaching academic writing. So I know from my experience that students have a lot of different experiences with plagiarism, academic integrity. AI has made everything more complicated for instructors and students. I would just say two things. Number one, when you are submitting an assignment, it doesn't matter what the assignment is. It could be just a small discussion assignment. It could be a big final paper. When you are submitting that assignment on Canvas and you hit the submit button, you're signing a contract, right? You don't see that contract there on Canvas, but it is an unofficial contract. That contract says that you're putting your name on this assignment because it's your work, right? The content of that assignment is your content, your thoughts, your ideas. Any content that's not yours, of course, would be correctly cited and referenced. You're going to show where you got that information. As long as that's true, then you are not violating that contract, right? If that work is your own, then you're good to go. If any of that content is not yours, if it's someone else's assignment, someone else has done this assignment for you. It's just AI generated. It's not cited, not referenced. These words and ideas and thoughts are not yours. Then you are violating that contract of that submission, right? It's not your own work. You put your name on it, but it's not yours. Then that has consequences. So very likely your instructors are going to be using CopyLeaks, which is a AI plagiarism detection software. If it's shown that you have plagiarized or misused AI, most likely you're going to fail the assignment. You could fail multiple assignments if you keep doing it, and ultimately you could fail the class and even be dismissed from the program. One thing I will say, however, is CopyLeaks, that detection system is not always perfect. If the instructor is saying that you have plagiarized or misused AI, but you're very confident that you haven't, then please have a conversation with your instructor. It's not just your word against theirs. You have a voice too. It's your work. So make sure you do have that conversation. If you have any questions or concerns about what is acceptable or what constitutes plagiarism, have that conversation with either your instructor or a writing tutor from a writing center before you submit the assignment. You can't have that conversation after you submit it. So be proactive and make sure you know what's going on. The other thing I would say is that, I know everybody, the majority of our students want to apply for OPT. They want to stay here. They want to work. You have student A who takes every opportunity to learn everything they can here, make every connection, network with their instructors. I'll note that your instructors are not just teachers, but they are professionals working in the fields that you guys are studying in. So they're a great connection to make. as you go through your programs. And then you have student B who just wants a certificate. They just want that diploma. So they're going to do anything they can to get it. They're just going to copy, cheat, pay someone else to do their work. You know, if you have student A and student B applying for jobs, who is going to be more successful? It's going to be student A because they've learned, right? They know what they're doing. They're confident. Student B, obviously less attractive candidate because they haven't done those things. So just something to keep in mind as you go through your programs. Your instructor is the key to your success. So if you need help, you've got to reach out. Dan and I see students fail their classes every semester, and really the most consistent reason is they never communicated with anyone. They never asked for help when they needed it. So if you are confused, if you're lost, your instructor is the person who's going to help you. Deadlines, we take those very seriously. So if you miss a deadline, your instructor is not obligated to accept your assignment. So you've got to meet those deadlines or communicate with them before. So please communicate with your instructor. Residency. As I have mentioned several times, as low-res students, because you're not taking on-campus classes, you have to attend a 2-day residency. So as I mentioned, high-res students have this requirement too. They meet every week. For you guys, you're going to be registering for and attending residency. Now, in order to get credit for this, remember, this is a graded requirement. So you're going to get credit or no credit. To get credit, you need to do 3 things. You need to first register, you need to attend, you need to be on time, you can't be late, and you need to complete the required assignments. Pretty easy. If you don't do one of those 3 things, then you will not receive credit, and that NC will follow you. That ends up on your transcript. Could be scrutinized by immigration. They're going to ask you, why didn't you attend residency? So you're going to have to be prepared for an explanation. That cannot be removed from your transcript. That's not how transcripts work. Anything on your transcript stays there. So just keep that in mind. So the actual schedule is going to depend on the location. I'll share some dates with you in just a second. But typically it's 2 days. I think most of you will be able to go to any location. You have to book your flights around the schedule. You cannot be late or leave early because you have a flight. Your flights are booked around the schedule. You need plenty of time to get there and to leave. Hotels, all of that is booked in advance, transportation, so make sure you're prepared. That's all your responsibility after you register. All right, so these are the dates for Fall 1 and Fall 2. Kansas City and Orlando have multiple dates. So for example, in Kansas City, you have the 5th and 6th. You also have the 14th, 15th. You only need to attend one of these dates. You don't have to attend both. One date for Fall 1. Orlando is the same. It has 2 dates for Fall 1 and 2 dates for Fall 2. Okay, so again, all of this information is on your Fall 1 registration form. You'll get the Fall 2 registration form when you attend. You'll get the Fall 2 registration form when you attend Fall 1 residency. All right, so what are you going to be doing at these residencies? Well, typically it's 8 to 5. Again, that varies depending on the location. They're going to be lectures, activities, group assignments, individual assignments. All of that will be on a Canvas course page and will be led by instructors. Again, attendance and participation are very strict. That's how you're being graded. So you need to be on time. You can't be late. You need to make sure you're attentive, right? You're listening to the instructors. You're being respectful. You're being on time. You're engaged. You're there to participate. It's a class, right? So you want to behave as though you are respectful, as you would in any other class. And most importantly, you're going to need a laptop for the assignments. So make sure you're charged and ready to go. All right, work. So as an F1 student, you are limited to either work on campus or an authorized CPT. Monica is the CPT coordinator. Once you have an offer letter, and I want to point out here this criteria, your offer letter, if you have an offer letter for a position for a CPT, it must have meet these 3 criteria. Number 1, it has to be on company letterhead, official company letterhead. It must include your job title and a detailed job description. and it must be signed by the person who is hiring you, okay? If your offer letter does not include these three things, it will not be accepted. So once you have a letter that meets this criteria, you're going to submit the CPT authorization form, which is on the ISS forms page that I shared with you before. It's going to come to Dan or me, whoever your advisor is. Please make sure you fill out the form correctly. We get a lot of students who put the wrong program, who don't put in the correct email, who don't put in the correct ID. So please, wow, please make sure you are filling out that form correctly. Otherwise, we just have to send it back. So as long as you've met all the criteria and your CPT aligns with your program, then Dan and I are going to enroll you in the CPT class. So that is mandatory. That class has weekly assignments that you need to complete. You have to earn credit. Just like the residency, that is credit or no credit, CR or NC. If you don't pass your CPT class, you cannot continue your CPT. So really important that you're in there and completing those assignments. Now, not every student starts their CPT at exactly the same time, even though everybody's enrolled from week 1. If your CPT does not start exactly on week 1, you need to reach out to the instructor. The CPT instructor knows how CPT works, so you just need to communicate with your instructor, make sure he knows when your CPT is actually starting, and then you guys can make arrangements for that. Okay, so CPT credits, you guys are enrolled. Let me go back here. So just point this out. For every 8 weeks, the CPT course, you're going to earn half a credit. So what that means is every semester you earn 1 credit. You do CPT for a full year, you earn 3 credits. Now, then you can use those 3 credits. If you're in these 2 programs, you can use those 3 credits to replace your capstone, which is your final research project. If you're in the MBA STEM programs, that's project management and healthcare management, or if you're in the MSTM program, you have at the end of your program capstone, and that capstone is 2 parts, part A, part B, session 1, session 2. That's a full semester. Now, if you end up with 3 credits of CPT by the end of your final semester, then you can use those 3 credits to replace the capstone. If you still want to take the capstone, in addition to that, you can. It's up to you. If you don't end up with those 3 credits by the end of your final semester, then you just take the capstone. If you end up with less than 3 credits, those unfortunately do not apply to your program. But this is the conversation we can have toward the end of your program. And if you have any questions, you can just ask your advisor. So we have a CPT workshop. This is a YouTube video, and we have a handbook that Monica has put together. So you can take a look at those if you have any questions about CPT. These just show you the timeline for CPT once your advisor passes it off to Monica. These are the things that she's working on. Okay, I promise we're getting close to the end. Just a few more things. So we have a group of very motivated students called Eagle Ambassadors. They are here to mentor you. I believe they are monitoring the chat WhatsApp group that you guys are in. So they're here to answer your questions too and guide you through your programs. You can always ask them for questions. Okay, just a few notes on services available through campus. We have on campus, so these counseling services are available to students who live in Missouri. You have to be a resident of Missouri to access the on-campus or come to campus to access these services. Through Luremark, however, through your Luremark insurance, you guys do have access to mental health counseling and other types of support as well. So if you are in need of those, I can tell you, I lived in several different countries myself. I was an international student a couple of times. I know that when the honeymoon period passes, things get challenging sometimes. You're away from your friends, your family, your food, all of those things. So if you need help, we want you to be successful. So please reach out for help. We are very supportive of those services. Other health services that are available here through campus, through Avila, you have access to. Okay, so the last thing we're going to be talking about here is healthcare. As I said, everybody with an F1 visa is required to enroll in a health insurance program. Now, a lot of you probably come from countries with universal health care, and you maybe don't think about health care or health insurance very much. But in America, it's very different. Health insurance in America is very complicated. Our system is very complicated. It's even complicated for Americans to navigate. As I said before, please make sure you have a very clear understanding of what your health insurance plan covers. Make sure if you go to an urgent care, a clinic, or a doctor, you have to make sure that is covered by your insurance. That's called in-network. So you have a network of services that are included in your health insurance. So please make sure you do your research and make sure you know what's covered and what's not. If not, it could cost you a lot of money. If you don't have a plan, number one, you're out of compliance, and number two, it could cost you a lot of money without health insurance. So the first thing that the first level of care, and these walk-in clinics are covered by your Lower Mark insurance. These we have a chain of pharmacies here in America called CVS. You see them on every corner, pretty much everywhere. They typically have a walk-in clinic, what they call a minute clinic. You can make an appointment or you can just walk in. These are really for minor issues, minor health issues, anything you see listed here. Again, that's typically covered by your Lower Mark insurance. Typically at a walk-in clinic, you're going to see a nurse practitioner. They're not usually doctors there. So the next level above that walk-in clinic would be what we call an urgent care. And an urgent care is something for a little bit more serious if you don't have a regular doctor. Here you're going to see a nurse. Here you can see a doctor for more serious health issues. Again, please make sure that your urgent care that you're planning to go to is included in your network. If it's not, then you'll have to pay out of pocket. Your insurance will not cover it. All right. Also, with hospitals, emergency rooms, there are going to be hospitals that are included in your network of insurance, hospitals that are not covered. So please make sure that your hospital that you're planning to go to or your doctor is covered by your insurance. Also, please, as soon as you enroll in your insurance, please make sure you download or print, have a copy of your insurance card. Everybody will have an insurance card with their insurance information. When you go to any health service, walk-in clinic, urgent care, hospital, they're going to ask you for your insurance card. Dan and I have had students who email us from the emergency room because they don't know, they don't have their insurance card. And by then it's a little bit stressful and too late. So the minute you sign up, always have your insurance information with you and know how to access it. All right, so the last part of this presentation is health insurance information. I'm not going to go through it in detail because it's all here for you. There are a couple of videos. There are sign up instructions here, exactly how to sign up. Some of this, I don't think has been updated for 26-27. So just assume that that needs to be updated. But you can follow these, watch the videos that you see here. They're two great videos, information for you. Sign up today. Make sure you have health insurance coverage. You're going to sign up for the whole semester, a whole semester at a time. If you want to pay for a full year, great, but you have to sign up for a minimum of one semester. Okay, guys, well, that was a lot of information, which I warned you about in the beginning, but we've recorded this. We're going to share this recording with you, these slides with you. Hopefully, my colleagues have been able to answer questions for you in the chat. We're here to help you. And again, I just want to welcome you to Avila. Thank you for choosing Avila. We want you here. We love that international students are a part of our community here. You enrich us in every way. So you are welcome here. And we hope that everybody's successful and has a great semester. So good luck. Thank you, guys.